So I don't know if this is actually helping you per se. I think that may be a criticism here. Ooh, I really like this. This is when I realized that that's what this is about. Okay, this also changes the way I look at this case study. Hey folks, welcome back. Today, I got something special for you. A really talented designer entrusted me with reviewing one of his latest case studies on camera. I don't take his trust for granted, so as an ex-General Assembly fellow, a design practitioner, and also having been a design manager building out my own team, I'm going to take all those experiences, all those perspectives, and do my best. All right, so this is Troy. Troy is a New Jersey native living in New York City. He's a graphic designer by training and trying to get into UX. So Troy and I actually know each other because, we were introduced through a coworker of mine because he did his General Assembly program most recently and trying to get into UX. And that's where I did my program. And we've been talking about breaking into UX, job search process, interviews, and even looked at his portfolio before. But since we last chatted, it sounds like he completely revamped it or updated it and added in a new case study as well. So which is why he sent me a message most recently asking me to take a quick look. Texas vacation. All right. So I think his latest case study is the Navmatic that he added in. Okay. So Navmatic is a GPS app for cyclists by cyclists. Provides turn-by-turn navigation, route details in real time. Users can report traffic, related incidents, detours, and accidents. Okay. All right, so like a GPS type thing for cyclists made by a cyclist, I suppose. Okay, cool. Let's check it out. I like that he gave us a picture of what it looks like. Gives me a little bit of an idea of what the solution is. Okay, so it aligns like a GPS type thing for a cyclist. Curious to know what makes this specifically for cyclists. But okay. What did I do? Okay, it's a solo project. So it looks like it was a General Assembly project. Did everything from research all the way to prototype. Obviously sans like implementation because there are no engineers that you pair up with at General Assembly. And then we get into this piece. Look, I really love that it starts out with the key components. It looks like it has context through the intro. It's going to give me the problem statement within the challenge section and gives me where you landed, the solution. And then you also have outcome. I'll have to figure out what the difference is there between the solution and the outcome. But all right, it's giving me the key components. So whenever anyone is hiring, they're going to get flooded with portfolios and resumes. So they don't have that much time to look through each one. So essentially you're scanning. It may be like 2 to 3 minutes, max 5 minutes if it's super interesting. Maybe more once you've really like hooked them in. But generally speaking, they're just scanning for key components like I just identified just now. And if that's interesting enough, then they'll kind of read the rest of it. So it's good that you're offering that up like right off the bat. So this project began with a user interview where I needed to determine the user's pain points. Okay. An avid biker, the interviewee wanted a navigation app that will allow them to safely get to their destination while avoiding a traffic-related incident and sharing updates with other users. So it's kind of like a Google Maps or a Waze type thing for cyclists is kind of how I'm understanding this. Okay, and a user kind of requested it, or you sussed out, or you inferred that that's what they needed. All right, so in the challenge section, it says the person I interviewed expressed concerns about dangers and inconveniences with cycling in the New York City area. Okay, and the outcome. To address their concerns, I created a navigation app that reflects the core interest, goals, and needs of the user while eliminating unnecessary grievances. I worked diligently to give. Okay, so before I move on, I wanted to share my initial thoughts so far. So there's really 2 layers of things I'm thinking about right now. So the first layer is, can you take information and make it actionable? And I'm getting a lot of good indications already just from this beginning section. So it sounds like Troy did a bunch of user interviews, kind of distilled that information down to main pain points, and then took those pain points and then sussed out what a good solution could be to address those things. And in this case, it's a GPS navigation app for cyclists, along with some communal component where you can share different photos and videos of, different detours that you could take, or danger zones or collisions that may impact, a cyclist's route. So all that sounds really promising, sounds really solid. So there's also the second level, right? The second level goes into, why is your problem even important? Is it worth solving amongst all the other problems that you could solve out there? And also, like, your solution that you came up with, can you convince me as the reader that your solution is better than all the other alternatives out there? And it would really be nice, and I think it would really enhance this case study if you were able to convey a lot of that up front here. So as an example, maybe you took statistics of like different accident rates and number of deaths or something, and kind of supported some of what the users were saying to kind of amplify the fact that this is a problem that we should be solving. And maybe you did a competitive analysis of all the different ways that cyclists are currently trying to solve this issue, and why it doesn't work, and why you need to actually provide a solution. And maybe, for your solution, maybe after you've made it, maybe you kind of compare it or test it alongside, other competitive products out there, and kind of demonstrate that your solution actually is better than the alternative. So those are the things that I kind of would have been looking for. But this is a class project, so I don't want to harp on the second level. And also, you're the only designer on it, doing it from beginning to end. But so as far as the second level goes, like, I wouldn't harp on it too much. But for the first level, I'm seeing a lot of good signs. I feel like you're really checking the box there. Okay, let's move on. Okay, cool. So I am interested to figure out how you got there. So the research part. Survey says they want notifications on route changes and updates. Would provide traffic updates for others. Okay. So there seems to be a desire to want to participate in this community from users. Prefer the safest route, of course. Okay, that makes sense to me. And then also share their ETA, especially if they're trying to get somewhere or meet someone or something like that. Okay. Okay, this is great. I mean, highlighting the stats are great. The fact that you did user interviews to get here is great. So level 1, check. But for the level 2, I mean, you could argue, like, this doesn't sound like any different from, a Google Maps or a Waze type product, right? It doesn't seem like you could pick out, like, this is specific to cyclists, and that's why cyclists need a separate application for it. I think that may be a criticism here. And what could have happened here? This may have been the issue of users just generally having a hard time differentiating what they need and want. There probably is something specific to cyclists that you could probably solve, but I'm not so sure it came through in these stats, because they clearly feel like, cycling is dangerous. They clearly feel that they need something to, like, alert them, or a place to go to check if the route they're going to take is a good one. But I don't know if that uniqueness came through in these stats. And I think that might be the difficulty of this project. Okay, user persona, meet Lisa, needs. Okay, good. I mean, nice and simple persona. In terms of a level 1, check again. But level 2 would be, I think this could be a result of, the survey results, but I'm not seeing anything very specific to cyclists here. I feel like I'm not getting the information here that makes me naturally come to the conclusion that there is, like, a very specific cyclist problem to solve. Because a lot of this feels like it could be solved with Google Maps or a Waze or some other product that probably does something similar. Lisa needs a bike navigation app with real-time traffic updates so she can arrive at her destination efficiently via safer routes. I suppose you can argue maybe cyclist routes are just vastly different and Google Maps aren't covering those routes, but it just hasn't been laid out in this case study, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm just assuming. I like that you did a user flow. You kind of mapped it all out. There's some wireframes here. Okay, it looks pretty clean, and you're not mixing fidelities, which I often see sometimes, which isn't very good. But this is clean and consistent. B2, okay, you bring up the fidelity here. What are you testing for? Users will be able to input their destination and preferred route and start navigation in 70 seconds. Task completion rate 0%. And then task 2, users will be able to share their ETA with the contact in 30 seconds with 7 clicks or less. So usability testing. Okay, first, I really like that you put in something that didn't work. So that's reality, right? I mean, you design something, if it doesn't work, you fix it, do it again. It's kind of the real life process. So I really like that. I like that you are testing for very specific things. One question I have though here is, it's great that you're testing for, if they're able to share information or share their ETA and enter in a destination. But I feel like there's a disconnect between what you're testing for and how you explain that up top. Because up top, in your context and your intro and your solution, you're talking a lot more about picking the safe route, avoiding danger zones, collision points, etc. But it doesn't seem like you're really testing for that here, where you're not testing if it helped the user avoid these areas, or if it made their travel time shorter or gave them an alternate route or something like that, which is what I think I would be looking for just based on how you explained it up top. So that'd be my feedback on this. So there's a little bit of disconnect. All right, I like that you're just being super honest about what you learned and then how you might want to try to fix it. I like that. Okay. Reflection, these are always good. I found it difficult at times to stop thinking like a graphic designer. I had to keep remembering to forget about how visually appealing things look and keep my focus on empowering the user. Ooh, I really like this. I really like this. Okay, this also changes the way I look at this case study. When I was going through this case study, I was really strictly looking at it from the lens of, what is the problem? What was your solution? Was it any good? And how did you get there? But this reflection section helps me kind of soften my view a little bit, because it seems like this case study really was like a learning experience for Troy. And he and I have actually talked about this, where graphic design background is excellent for UX design. But as you're transitioning into UX, people still have a hard time viewing folks with graphic design background as a UX designer, because it's too easy to bucket them as a visual designer or UI designer, that sort of thing. So it almost works against the person, because it's hard. There's already confusion between UX and UI, and is it separate? Is it together? And even for me, like, who has a business background, not a graphic design background, I still get are you the make it pretty role? Are you the make it pretty kind of designer? And yeah, for folks who actually have graphic design backgrounds, you almost have to over index sometimes into, no, I actually have the product thinking. I have the UX thinking that makes me a qualified UX designer, and make sure that your portfolio kind of shows it. And it seems like this case study is kind of him putting it in here, saying this was kind of one of those case studies that help him start to like learn and think that way a little bit more. So I took the time to read through the whole thing and get here, and this is when I realized that that's what this is about. But I don't know if you apply somewhere that they're gonna put in that much time to read through this and understand the case study. So I don't know if this is actually helping you per se. But I will say this. We kept on talking about level 2, level 1 kind of thing. As far as a level 1 goes, where you're taking information and turning it into something actionable, I think you demonstrated a lot of that here. And for any junior designer role, I think this is a strong portfolio case study to apply with. However, for that second level thinking, where maybe something a little beyond junior design role, or to help you stand out from the crowd, I think that piece may be missing from this case study, where you have to go a little deeper into, why does the problem even matter, and is your solution any good, and if it's good, how is it different from the alternatives out there, and kind of get deeper into why certain things need to exist and why it's important. And it may require some more work, where you're triangulating different types of data and not just user interview information, something more to kind of give your argument more credibility. Okay, well, that was kind of my review of this case study. I hope that was really helpful. I try to break it down into things I'm looking for to kind of make it easier for y'all to understand where I'm coming from. So again, This is Troy. Troy is a really talented designer with a strong graphic design background and is getting into UX design. It's only been a little bit since he completed his General Assembly program, but already he's been going out on tons of interviews, got to like final rounds on a few and waiting on like answers from some. So yeah, I'm rooting for you, Troy. Great job. Thank you so much for trusting me to review some of your work on camera. I don't take that for granted. If y'all like this kind of content, I'd be happy to do more of it. It is a little uncomfortable to review other people's work on camera, but if you trust me, I'll do it. I'll do my best. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Oh, he's done a bunch of stuff like marketing design, visual design, photography. Hugh made? What's Hugh made? Yep, the dude has style. Man, all around creative. Cool stuff. I like this. What other stuff? Marketing design. The dude has done it all. Oh, these are good. This is some serious work. Let's see, visual design. I like it. Oh, ooh, I like that one. The album cover. Wait, are these out in the real world? I gotta look these up. This is pretty cool. Photography. Yeah, you know, this is cool stuff. Look, I dabble in street photography, but it doesn't even look like this. This is awesome. Oh, it looks like he has an Instagram. Y'all should follow him. This is good.